Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Mike, bringing you all the nerdy things in the big, wide multiverse of nerddom. I am one of your hosts, Brian, and I'm here with my good friends as always, Taylor.
Hey.
And Jacob.
I'm here as always.
And we're here to talk about the MCU TV series. So this is something that we've touched on a little bit with a couple past episodes, but I think we'd take a little bit more of a deeper dive and just kind of go through one at a time each of the different series and just kind of give some quick thoughts on, you know, kind of where we rank these things and what we're thinking about the overall presentation of the MCU as a TV series, right? So starting off in phase 4 is when they first introduced this. So we had the first 3 phases of the MCU with the Infinity Saga, and after Infinity War and Endgame, that's when they started to go into this presentation where they started introducing some of these TV series. And the first of those that was released way back in January 2021 was WandaVision.
On my birthday.
And on Jacob's birthday. Happy past birthday, Jacob. So WandaVision, I think, was it set us up on a path of deception.
Yes,
that's and this is going to maybe lead you into kind of where my thoughts are going with the entire TV series that Marvel has released here. But WandaVision, I think, was a really strong start and mostly went downhill after that. How did you guys feel about the WandaVision series?
I thought it was awesome. I thought that it was very unique, especially when they started teasing about like what it's like, especially with going through different eras of TV and them actually filming that way. So like when they did black and white, they filmed it the way that they did in front of a live studio audience, which I thought was super cool. And the story kind of twists and turns too, because I'm like, oh, I did not know that's what was going on this whole time. That's pretty cool. But yeah.
I like the WandaVision show. I liked how they kind of gave you what it almost felt like when Wanda was doing her thing, you know, and you know, mind controlling people, and you know, going back to how she entered the MCU, you know, back in Age of Ultron, and how she you know was you know, touching people's minds and putting things in there, and you know, and this was on a bigger scale. And you know, how she kind of messed with reality. You get to see kind of the reality stone powers that she had, and really, like, she could do anything with that. You know, she was pulling, you know, characters from different, you know, universes literally, and filling them in, and even she didn't know fully what she was doing.
Right. And they kind of touch on too that like she's always had these powers, almost retconning like it wasn't the stone that gave you these powers, it just amplified them and made you like weirder. But yeah, that the misleading that Brian was talking about definitely came from like pulling from other universes. I was like, oh my goodness. Especially with people like teasing for the longest time, like Mephisto's behind this, Mephisto's in this. And then the next series or the next show, the Mephisto's probably in this one. He's in this movie. He's Mephisto, you know, and I got those expectations like destroyed. But I mean, otherwise, you know, the villain of that movie was still pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they set some things up in that series that haven't really even played out yet. We're going to talk about some of the future series here in just a minute, but I think that something that was really cool that came out of that was the setup for Multiverse of Madness. So taking this character, Wanda Maximoff, who was this character that you could feel bad for because of the circumstances that she's had to live through, and it led in a way that logically made a lot of sense into her breaking bad and turning into this big villain character in Multiverse of Madness. So, you know, it was a really cool way of telling the story throughout the different eras of sitcoms, and it led into that eventual big bad turn for her. And so WandaVision is one of those series that actually I really enjoyed, ranks pretty high for me. And it's one of the favorable memories I have of watching these series.
Yeah, at least starting.
Yeah. The next series that came out after that, actually just a couple months after, was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And overall, I liked this one.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily a memorable series for me, but, you know, I had a good time watching it, and I thought it at least laid the groundwork for some more stuff that was to come, you know, to varying degrees on whether or not you think that was successful. But it was at least interesting enough where I didn't hate my time watching it.
Right. And I think you summed that up pretty good for me too. Like, I think I wouldn't say the whole show was memorable. They had memorable moments that I took with me that, like, especially where you're like, oh, that defines, Anthony Mackie's Captain America. That's awesome. Okay, now it's Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Like, that's cool. That's cool. Same with, like, the Baron Zemo, where they actually bring him into being the Baron. I thought that was cool. And then also with the serum, that was a unique take on all that. And then, of course, the birth of the U.S. agent. But otherwise, like, everything else kind of going on, like, yeah, I mean, it was good, but it was no Captain America Winter Soldier like movie. Like, that was.
Yeah. I liked the kind of the training almost of Sam Wilson slowly becoming, a Captain America without a serum. And I liked that they kept going on that thing. He did not want the serum because he knew that it could change him mentally, and because he's scarred. And that's so they kept kind of go back to his mentality is scarred, and he was worried it would basically would change him and make him worse. And they showed that on the other end when John Walker takes the serum and becomes way worse. Crazy. And it goes crazy. Exactly. And what could happen if the wrong person takes the serum? You're on track to maybe a Red Skull version 2, and so that's the whole premise of the first Captain America movie was that you can't give it to the wrong person, otherwise it amplifies their personality.
Yeah, so we started off in MCU TV land with WandaVision, which is a good show. We went to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which was a solid show. I wouldn't call it great, but it was good. It was good. And then after that, we had Loki season 1, which I thought was overall a really cool show. They introduced a lot of really cool elements that would come into play in future MCU projects. What did you guys think of Loki? Season 1 in particular.
Season 1 in particular, yeah, all the versions of Loki that we got to meet, and they kind of really start playing into the multiple universe, and how tied into the main MCU the entire like multiple universe is, and just seeing the branches and seeing everything just kind of spread out, and seeing the Infinity Stones used as paperweights, like, right, okay, all this stuff, all this stuff that was just so big for the entirety of our knowledge of the MCU up to now is now gone. We're in a whole new era now, and I liked how they kind of just reminded us we're in a whole new era. These things don't matter anymore. We're into something new. We're into something a little more dangerous.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Loki, it was like a fun adventure to like watch him almost be the villain again, taking him from this Loki that was literally in the middle of New York, like trying to conquer it, and then slowly like changing the character a little bit, going through almost the same progression that the previous Loki that has neck snapped did, but just in a different way, but still ending up to be more like heroic, especially season 1, obviously more into season 2, but I think that was a pretty cool idea and way to take it.
Yeah, no, it was a great basis to set a lot of things up. They introduced Kang the Conqueror in this, and spoiler alert, it didn't turn out so well for the MCU. But right. They introduced a lot of interesting concepts. So, again, just to recap our first 3 series, we had WandaVision, which is a hit, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which was a okay entry, Loki, which was stronger. And then after that, I feel like we started to trail off. And this is all phase 4 MCU stuff. And I think this was right about the time, too, where Bob Chapek had taken over Disney. Mm-hmm. And he sent the directive out that you need to make as much as you can as fast as you can. And so we started getting hit with a whole bunch of series. Actually, in 2021, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 different series that came out in that calendar year.
Yeah.
On top of the movies that were already coming out that year. So we started to see the quality dip. What If was an animated series. Season 1 was mixed. There were some good episodes and some that were just whatever. Hawkeye was a show that had the potential to be great, but they couldn't really stick the landing. It wasn't strong throughout the entire series.
Exactly.
The best part was Yelena. That was kind of it for me. Like when she shows up,
right?
Because she's like, "Did you just hit me?" And like she's not like some crazy person. Like she just doesn't take what's the female's character, like Haley
Stanfield.
Yeah, didn't take her seriously. Like, so like she doesn't know how to fight. So she's like, "Did you just slap me?" He's like, "Did you dress yourself?" Like, I love those jokes. That was kind of the best part. But
yeah, their chemistry was good, but overall, I wasn't too impressed with the series.
Yeah,
Moon Knight, I kind of felt the same way. Moon Knight looked like it was going to be really cool, but they didn't seem like they knew where they were trying to go with it.
Right.
And they had such big implications with, I mean, there's Egyptian gods fighting in Cairo by the pyramids, and nothing about that is ever mentioned again in the MCU.
Turning back time, happened. Like through the night, like they're just like making these stars pass by, not like, and just like not much of a a big deal, or I don't know. That was disappointing. I did like the action of it all, and like almost like a Batman feeling like MCU project, but like besides the fact that he was just crazy, like just had lots of split personalities and stuff like that. Like, right. I mean, obviously that's a real thing. I just mean like just because the way it affected him, and then adding some Egyptian god just throughout that diagnosis, and it just kind of just got chaotic, and they didn't know where they wanted to go.
Exactly, it got confusing. Like Brian said, it felt like the direction just wasn't clear on what they're trying to do, and the entrance of Egyptian gods with nothing to precursor it, there was no mention of these kind of things being a part of this universe. All of a sudden, boom, we're thrust into this, and okay.
Yeah, and all these people that would have seen what was going on, and then nobody ever mentions it again.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, Moon Knight could have been great. They didn't seem to know where they're going with it. So ultimately that was a disappointment for me. Miss Marvel, I thought, was actually mostly a strong show. It was a little bit slow for me, but the parts that I really enjoyed were Kamala and her family interacting with each other, because I thought the family was perfectly cast, and I could have just watched them interact with each other.
It's like
the rest of the show was, for sure. The rest of the show wasn't the best, in my opinion, but just seeing the stuff with her family made it stand out and memorable enough for me.
Well, it's something that they did really well, like in the comics, is that she's obsessed with superheroes, and specifically Captain Marvel. Like, right. And I was just really hoping they would keep that, and they did. And like, they changed up her powers a little bit, but then they did do my favorite thing about it, honestly, like besides that, interaction with her and her family, definitely was the first mention of mutant, like the mutant gene. And you kind of hear that X-Men like sound, like that the music happened just
from
for just a second.
Animated 97 series.
Yes, just for a second. And I thought that was so cool, and I was like shaking my wife going, "This is such a big deal." And she was like, "I don't see how that's
I don't understand what's going
fine." Right. You have no idea.
I think we all had the same conversations with our wives.
Yeah, exactly. I've wanted this for so long.
Yeah, my wife heard that and was like, like, wait
to see Professor X drop in the sky.
Exactly. And like, did they just say mutant? And I was like, yeah, they did. So I liked the show, to be completely honest. It was very, very kiddish in a lot of it, but also
it was like a fun
it felt like it was one of those. I've kind of talked about things like this before. Sometimes they take shows and it almost feels like from the perspective of, when there's a younger person in it, it feels like it's from the perspective of the younger person. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that felt like it was her, and she was growing through the show, and growing into who she would ultimately become. So I felt like that show did pretty good in my opinion.
So we go from something that we all liked to something that I think we all just generally hate. She-Hulk Attorney at Law. This was a truly terrible show.
It was so bad.
The first episode was deceivingly good.
Right.
I liked the first episode. Jennifer's relationship with Bruce, I thought, was really fun. And then from the rest of the series, they just got rid of the only thing I cared about. And they proceeded to make a comedy that wasn't funny. They told a courtroom procedural that wasn't interesting. And they just completely ruined the She-Hulk character.
And a bunch of characters, like just characters that are just out in the world already. I feel like it's almost like they saw, because I understand the comic She-Hulk, and like how she's kind of like can speak to, break the fourth wall. It almost felt like they were trying to be too much Deadpool, where she just kind of looks at the screen and goes, "Huh, didn't see that coming," kind of stuff like that, and just like it felt too much like a recreation or a copy. And then they were just pulling on real world, like bringing in like Megan Thee Stallion, which was such a waste of time and money, probably. Like I feel like they could have really done something with that. And then Scott, the Hulk's son. I don't want to talk about that. Read the comic. Go read the comic. Don't watch the show.
I only got like 3 episodes into the show before I stopped watching it. I couldn't continue. I mean, I look at it on my continue watch list, and I'm like,
say no thanks.
Taylor, I envy you.
Yeah, I know.
You did what we didn't.
I continued watching, thinking, like maybe there's some hope. Maybe this was just a bad episode, and then that episode's worse. And like maybe the next one isn't bad and it's worse. And then they bring back that villain from Hulk, like from the kind of outside of the MCU, but not really. But when they changed actors, and that stunk. And I don't know. Yeah,
it was awful. But fear not, because it gets worse.
Thanks.
Phase 5 now, in June of 2023, we have maybe the worst TV show I've ever seen. Secret Invasion. I don't even know where to begin or how to describe how much I hated this show. I love Nick Fury. The Skrulls are a cool and interesting idea. But I swear a 5-year-old wrote the script for this. Nothing made sense. None of the characters were interesting. Nick Fury, who was a cool character, was boring.
Right.
And
which is crazy.
Wasn't acting like himself. If you look at everything else in the MCU, he wasn't acting like he does in any of the rest of the shows or the movies. And then to top it all off, Gaia, the Super Skrull, just suddenly becomes the most powerful creature in the MCU. And now they have to pretend like she doesn't exist.
Because of how bad it was.
Because of how bad it was, and because of how broken she would be in the rest of the MCU. I don't know. Did you guys hate this as much as I did?
I felt I definitely hated She-Hulk worse, but it was a bad show. Like I wanted it because one thing I started really liking was the espionage part. One thing that really drew me to like Captain America, the Winter Soldier, was that kind of, like, oh, they have to be sneaky in here. They can't be caught. But they played too much on the, who's a Skrull? We don't know. Are you a bad Skrull? Are you a good Skrull? Or like, are you really Nick Fury? And they did that like in every scene. Like, are you really this person? Are you really? And like, I got sick of it. And at that point I was like, I don't care. I don't care if you're really them. And then they kill Maria Hill. And I was like, okay, this is stupid. Just the way like they brought her character into it just to get shot. And I was like,
and Rhodey has been impersonated by a Skrull for how long?
Yeah.
Which, if you think about it, the timelines don't make sense because the way they explain how long that he's been captured, shouldn't the Rhodey that broke his legs in Civil War have actually been a Skrull?
Right.
Which means the real Rhodey would not have had broken legs.
Unless it was right after that. But I don't know.
And I think that the way they were trying to play it off is that when he went in to get his surgery, that's when they switched him. Is that
what they've said? Because it was never explained in a way that made sense.
And because of that, I don't care.
That's the only thing that makes sense in there. I left that show with more questions than any answers I expect to get.
Yeah, and then he goes to space with his girlfriend or his wife. So I was really like, what's happening? Like, what are they setting up here?
His secret Skrull wife.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, what?
And maybe I hated this show so much because I had a lot of hopes for it. And it looked like it would be good, but this one ended up disappointing me. Whereas She-Hulk, I didn't expect to be good from the start.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. That was bad for me. However, not too long after that, we did have Loki season 2.
We get a high, yes.
Which I think is one of the bright spots of MCU TV.
Yes.
So Loki season 2, I thought played off a lot of really interesting concepts. We got to see a lot more of the TVA. And kind of the breaking and the rebuilding of the TVA. And we got to see a lot more of what should have been a cool setup for Kang.
Should have.
But, I thought those episodes were actually pretty interesting. It held my interest excuse me, from week to week, where I was actually looking forward to each episode. Whereas with a lot of the other series, I was watching each week, hoping it would get better.
Right.
Loki, I was actually looking forward to watching the next episode.
And I feel like season 2, there was a few slow episodes in the middle because they were building up to something. You know, there was times where like they're just kind of going on this adventure in real life, looking for something or just kind of following a trail. And at first, you know, I'm like, okay, get on with it. Like, you know, I'd almost like some of those episodes, I'm like, you could have cut this in half, like just to get to this point. But definitely with that, like, I feel like the ending kind of surprised me. Because he like almost unlocks like new powers, especially when things are ending, and he kind of realizes, wait, because he kind of like reaches out and he's like, I can do this, you know, and kind of realizes that he has the potential to do things like that, and then, you know, takes that. Obviously, one of the coolest scenes I think in any of the Marvel shows, in my opinion, was him, you know, bringing them together, especially in that slow-mo scene. I thought that was amazing.
Right.
Well, him remaking his image, right, and becoming, like you said, becoming not the God that he wants to be, the God that they need him to be, and
making the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, finally, for the true first time, not thinking of himself. Mm-hmm. You know, well, kind of, but not thinking of himself, right?
It really reached that glorious purpose.
Exactly, yeah, and become, you know, what he's truly needed to be the entire time, and realizing that, and it was a breath of fresh air coming from Secret Invasion to that, and yeah, such a good ending.
And I hope they probably won't, but it'd be cool if they touch on that in future projects where, like, not that someone discovers it, but like once they get into Secret Wars, like I don't know how they're going to, you know, tear the universe apart, but like I think I don't know, that'd be pretty cool. But I know that actor, you know, as he's just going to keep aging, so I don't know if they'll play with that too. But
have you guys read Secret Wars, the comics?
Yeah.
So I haven't read them, but I know roughly what.
Okay, so and this isn't a new theory. This one's out there. A lot of people talked about this, but
also
it makes a lot of sense. Right. I mean, it makes a lot of sense if the MCU version of Loki replaces the position of the Beyonder from the Secret Wars comics.
That's what I was thinking too, especially since they, like, are they really going to bring in the Beyonders? Like, I doubt that they would touch on that. Or like
that's a lot of extra
Order.
lore that they wouldn't have to. They don't necessarily need to bring in when you've got a character like Loki. The way that he's positioned now, as the one that controls all the timelines and just holds everything together, he's got the ultimate power. It would make a lot of sense to just take something that's already established like that and just, you know, have Doom take that over, right? And then he can become God Emperor Doom after taking that power from Loki.
Yeah, I think that'd be sweet.
We'll see if that actually plays out, but it gives me excitement at least to see kind of where that's going to lead. And I really hope that we get one more scene between Loki and Thor. I want to see those two reunite one more time.
Agreed.
Like a super jacked Thor. Like when I say jacked, he's already jacked, but like I mean like something like one of those like worthy Thor. Or like using the unworthy hammer. Like I know that's a comic thing, but still, like where it was just epic moments where it's like, dude, like God Thor and God Loki, like, you know, doing some crazy stuff. I think that'd be cool.
So I've got 6 more things to touch on, and I've got 1.5 good things to say.
Yeah, so, I was looking through the list too. I don't.
That's.
There's
what if season 2 and season 3? Season 2 was forgettable. Season 3, I thought, had a couple really cool episodes. In particular, I can't remember what it was called, but it's like the Renaissance era Avengers, where they get sent back in time and nobody remembers.
I have not watched season 3 yet, but I plan to.
Yeah, that was a really cool episode, but mostly forgettable. Echo, I'm going to be honest, I straight up just didn't even watch it. I didn't care about the character after she was introduced in Hawkeye. Did you guys watch Echo?
A little bit. It was slow, and I mean, I'm not saying there wasn't any, like there was some pretty cool like choreography. I'll give them that. I just feel like the story was too slow. It's just kind of lore that, to me, in my opinion, especially in the scope of the MCU, doesn't really matter. Like, in my opinion, you could have thrown, just like they did in Hawkeye, like throw Echo in there again and go, cool, that's Echo. You know, she's really, like, you know, really good with like fighting, and, you know, that's it, you know. I didn't really need a backstory, but
I somehow missed this show. I didn't even know it was until we discussed, our little pre-show discussion. I didn't even know about the show.
So from what I've heard, you're not missing anything.
Okay.
I have no desire to go watch it.
And it won't affect your MCU journey. And if you didn't.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, that's what I hear. Next is Agatha All Along, which I wasn't too excited before it started. I hung in there and watched it. I fell asleep during half the episodes. I don't necessarily think there was anything offensively bad about it. It was just boring. Did you guys watch Agatha?
It had pace. I did. It had pacing issues for sure. But I feel like the ending was strong. I feel like the ending was.
That where they brought in Wiccan.
Yeah, they brought in Wiccan.
Death.
And they kind of. Yeah, exactly. And but just the random arrival of death kind of confused me. But
Thanos would be happy.
I feel like it started strong and it ended strong. The middle was, as Brian said, it was kind of boring. Mm-hmm. I just kind of got bored. It just had pacing issues in general.
Yeah. Next is one that I didn't watch, but I've heard some good things about it. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Do you guys have opinions on this one since I haven't seen it?
I really liked it. Like, it's one of those things where I'm like, it's another. I use this a lot. I just realized tonight. Fresh take. It really is though, like, because it's not just like a different origin, but like I kind of take that as its own universe because it is like it's not Tom Holland. It's cool how they kind of have like him get bitten by a spider and right away the spider crawls away onto someone else, and goes up a backpack and you don't see who that is until they like they walk away and it's like a later thing, and then kind of bringing in instead of a Tony Stark like mentor, but it's Norman Osborn. And his own thing is just so cool because he's like, with great power comes great respect. And he's like, so if they don't respect you, then they're not worth your time kind of a thing. I'm like, this is really cool. But, but he doesn't like turn evil or anything like Spider-Man. I mean, it kind of goes on a different journey. But I enjoyed the different take of this Spider-Man origin as its own thing and not a part of this list in the sense of like finding out what the MCU is. Like if you want a good cartoon, kind of a really cool animated, like the way they animate it, sweet. Then yeah, watch it.
So I definitely would have missed this show if my 4-year-old didn't point it out. Spider-Man, and I saw it. I was like, oh, that is a new Spider-Man show. We'll go ahead and turn it on. And I found myself tuning in every week and actually enjoying it. And there is a small scene where you see the Watcher in the sky. And I was like, hold on, this is going to tie into more stuff. I better pay attention. and so I rewatched the whole thing again, just to try and make sure I understood what was going on. And, I kind of had the realization, especially when rewatching the Into the Spider-Verse 2, again, just this last week, that everything Spider-Man is connected in a way, in the way that they're kind of doing this. And so this has a chance to make its way into something bigger. And, I think that the reimagining of Spider-Man's story and in a completely different way is going to play somewhere in this Spider-Verse that they're kind of building as well on the side of everything else.
Sounds interesting enough. I might give it a watch. I just haven't gotten around to seeing it yet, but I haven't heard anything bad about it, so I'm definitely intrigued. So moving on from Spider-Man, just a couple more things to touch on here. Daredevil Born Again is something that I was actually really, really excited for. I got a little bit worried when they had to scrap a lot of what they filmed and redo it, but the finished product, I think, was great. My issue with it, have you guys seen Born Again?
I actually haven't.
Not. So I recommend it, especially if you guys like the Netflix series, because it is a continuation. That's one of the things that they changed when they went back, is they had it as a continuation to the Netflix series. So originally it was supposed to be something similar but different. But my biggest issue with it was originally it was supposed to be 18 episodes. Mm-hmm. The new season is 9, and it abruptly ends at the end of episode 9. So what I think they did is they took the original story they had and they just refilmed a bunch of aspects to it, but they cut it in half so that they could make multiple seasons out of it.
Like split it up, yeah.
Yeah. But it was really, really, it was maybe not as good as the Netflix series, but it's approaching that level. And it, you got all the same actors that were in the original series. And I'm not going to go into necessarily spoilers, just so you guys have a chance to watch it and check it out for yourself, because I recommend it. If you guys, again, like the Netflix series, I think you'd really enjoy this one. But it's one of the better entries in the MCU TV series for sure.
Yeah.
Last one on the list here. I know Taylor is the only one that really has an opinion on this. Ironheart. Since you're the only one of the three of us that have seen it.
Yeah, you could tell us all about it.
So in general, so kind of like what I said in my minute review, if you watch that's in our shorts, it almost feels like a completely different character than we met in Wakanda Forever. Mm-hmm. The Riri Williams there felt very confident, felt very, sure of who she was. And this Riri Williams feels like she has no idea who she is. And the rug has been pulled out from underneath of her, but everything is her own fault. And it just feels like that this character is almost feels very entitled, mm-hmm. and almost gives the wrong message throughout the entire show. The best part, I think, to be completely honest, was the ending. And when they finally, after teasing it for long, I'm sure you know exactly. Yep. Mephisto. Now, the casting, exactly. The casting was pretty interesting. But he did a surprisingly good job.
He's a great actor.
And I'll say that, they kind of, I feel like that I don't know what they're thinking, but I heard they cut a lot of content from this as well. Just like Daredevil, they cut a ton of content that would have made this show feel more full. There was only 6 episodes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's not a show. You should be, if you're 6 episodes, it should be, 45-minute episodes to an hour-long episodes. If you're going to do just 6 of them, make it worth it.
Do you think it's because
6
they
episodes?
Stuff?
Yeah, they cut stuff.
If you've got 6 episodes that are a half hour each, you're within trimming distance of making it a movie.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with a lot of these series too. And you're speaking to a larger problem that MCU television is experiencing. These stories are not TV shows. Mm-hmm. They make them into TV shows, but that's not how they're written.
I actually touch on that in the minute review that this was, it almost felt like it was supposed to be a movie, just like you said with Obi-Wan. Mm-hmm. It felt like it was supposed to be a movie, and then the story had to be lengthened, but then they felt like it got too long, so they cut some stuff. Because there are scenes that I saw in that were leaked, especially of Mephisto, and that were not in the show, mm-hmm. and that they would have added a ton to the show itself. And it almost felt like he was going to have a bigger role, and then they cut it. Why tease us one of the biggest villainous characters in all of them in Marvel, and then cut him? It just didn't make sense.
I will be intrigued to see where they go from here, because
that's what
I've spoiled myself on everything that's happened, mm-hmm. so I'm not going to watch it, but I just wanted to know what happened.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see where they go, because I feel like Mephisto may play a part in something coming in the future.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Do you know what that is? Like, what are they teasing? Because I don't think they're doing an Ironheart season 2.
Well, that's to be determined, I guess.
Okay.
But something else that I heard that they introduced to this, which could play into kind of what's going on with Doctor Doom, is the introduction of combining technology and magic together. Because for those of you that have read the comics, that's a big thing with Doom.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of magical abilities. He's got a lot of technology at his disposal. And his true power is his intellect and being able to weave those things together.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So that'll be something I think may come into play in the future.
Well, so, did you... Yeah. In the show, they touch on that a little bit, and it doesn't feel like they did it very good.
I wouldn't expect him to based off the track record. You know, we've been talking about a lot of these MCU shows. Overall, I feel like it's been more misses than hits. But just real quick, I want to hear what you guys' top 2 or 3 MCU shows would be. You don't have to expand on it too much. In no particular order, I would say Daredevil, WandaVision, and Loki would be my top 3. What do you guys think?
Mine would be WandaVision, Loki, and Miss Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, definitely. Mine's WandaVision, Loki season 2, more than 1 in my opinion, and then Neighborhood Spider-Man. That one threw me for a loop because as that progression kept getting lower and lower expectations and stuff like that, that one I was like, oh, okay, wow, this is good. This is animated. This is a good story. This is awesome. So yeah, definitely those are my top 3.
So real quick, I wanted to touch on a couple of the projects that are officially in production and are going to be coming out soon, and just see kind of what you guys' excitement level are for these. Coming out this year in August, we've got Eyes of Wakanda, which is an animated series. We have Marvel Zombies that comes in October, which is another animated series that kind of is a spinoff from the comic, of course, but we got a little bit of an introduction to that in one of the What If episodes. And then the next live action series is supposed to be out in December this year, and that's Wonder Man. And then, of course, next year we have Daredevil Born Again Season 2, which is going to obviously be just like the second half of that first season. We have Vision Quest and the second season of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Do you guys have any opinions on these coming projects? Is there an excitement level for any of these things for you?
Is Vision Quest live action?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Do we know anything about that? Like, I don't. That's what
it's going to play off of the White Vision.
Okay, sweet.
So we saw that character at the end of WandaVision, and there hasn't been much to do with the character since then. So I've got a lot of intrigue with that.
It's like 5 years later.
Yeah, no, for real. It's coming out sometime in 2026, so it's 5 years later. I don't honestly know what to expect, although I'm really intrigued by that one.
Yeah, me too.
I'd say excitement-wise, Daredevil Born Again Season 2 is what I'm most excited for, just because I enjoyed the first half of the season so much. I'm looking forward to seeing how that all pays off.
I'm pretty excited for Season 2 of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that's going to look like, but I'm pretty excited.
That's probably what I'm most excited for there. What I am concerned about is looking at this list and seeing, only 4 episodes, 8 episodes, and in all of these, and I'm worried that they're going to keep falling into this trap of let's cut some stuff to save for later, or let's cut some stuff. Stop cutting stuff. We I'm sorry, it's not working.
A shorter episode or shorter. Yeah,
you're leaving me with more questions than answers, and maybe that's what you want, but I don't know why. And I guess that's what I'm concerned about there.
Yeah.
Eyes of Wakanda, I'll watch it. But
it's not something I'm like I can't wait to watch. But
yeah, I'm curious. I'm just curious.
Yeah. See, the thing that gives me hope for some of these is kind of some behind the scenes stuff. Bob Chapek's out. Mm-hmm. Bob Iger is back in power in Disney, and albeit not for long, but he's put the power back in Kevin Feige's hands, so he doesn't have to just produce as much as he can, as fast as he can. They're limiting the number of projects they're doing, and they're actually giving these TV shows a showrunner, which seems like the first thing you would want to do if you're making a TV show. Yeah. Every successful TV show ever has had a showrunner, except for these shows in the MCU. They've just gone about it like they're going to make a movie and chopped it up into half-hour increments. So I've got a lot of hope. I don't know that hope is very well placed, and I don't know that my hope is all that strong. But I just want these things to be good.
Right. Yeah. Oh, we all do.
I'm tired of being disappointed with these MCU TV shows. Show me something good. Just let me look forward to the next episode after I'm done watching one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there. let us know what you guys are thinking about the MCU TV shows. We didn't want to make this a hate fest, but
yeah,
in our opinion, there's not a lot of great stuff that's come out of the MCU TV shows. Movies are a different story. We love the movies. Mm-hmm. TV shows have been pretty mixed bag for us, but let us know what you guys think. Let us know in the comment section down below. What were your favorite MCU TV shows? What just didn't work for you? Let's have a conversation about that down below. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like this video, share it around. That goes a long way to helping us actually grow the channel and do more stuff like this. If you are listening to the audio only versions, especially on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a 5-star review. If you guys leave us a review on there, we'll go ahead and read that out here on a future episode too. But thanks for hanging out with us. And until next time, we'll see you in the multiverse.
See you around.